going to pull a couple threads because that's what we do in genealogy. We pull threads and we try to create some story and some commonality. So Jonathan's one patron said that remember their parents taking them to a ranch when they were young. Well, I don't remember my parents taking me to a branch in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh grade because I had my own branch. I had my own branch of the Allentown Public Library. Every Friday afternoon, around 3 o'clock, a bookmobile pulled up and parked at the very end of my drive. My parents. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I had my own library. First time I went, I've been a history geek my entire life. Biographies, love history, love biographies. I went, there was like just a few biographies, and the book driver was kind of watching me, the librarian. And it's like, so I checked them all out, all 3 of them. And I thought, well, I plowed through these like in a half a week. And so the next Friday, it's like, well, I have to return these. And there probably won't be anything because there was only 3 last time, and I checked them all out. So there's not going to be anything. And lo and behold, there was like a half a shelf of biographies. So long story short, the awesome nature of librarians and information professionals always trying to get what their patrons need. And I think that's what Jonathan and his team do really well. So I've kind of subtitled mine that telling the stories of our lives. That's what the Genealogy Center does. We have been doing story since 1961, and we, again, pulling something from Jonathan's presentation, we're really interested in knowing what you would like to see from us. And we're interested in knowing how we can help you. Sometimes librarians and our team recognizes that sometimes librarians are so excited about something like, we're going to figure out what's the best thing for you and you and you. And really the best thing for us as information professionals is to listen to you and you and you and hear what you want and what your needs are. So again, pulling that thread from Jonathan's presentation, we're very interested in hearing from all of the Northeast Indiana elder care facilities, and for our virtual participants, literally any elder care facility or individual caring for a family member in their home across the entire North American continent. And I'll give you some reasons why we say that. We believe we can serve everyone well if we listen and then we apply what we have here resource-wise and experience-wise. But before I begin, I just have to tell you, why do people care at all about family history, about genealogy? It's centuries, millennia old. And I believe no one's really researched this. We don't have a Dr. Josh on our team to do research like this. But I believe it's the power of story. It's the power of story. And I think Rick's team that he's assembled, Dr. Josh and Dr. Charlotte, who's going to be with us this afternoon, are delving deep into what it means in our lives. So literally what it means in our lives to have story being operated, if you will, in our lives. So I'm going to start out with a little story, and my slides somehow are not advancing. Allison has left the room. There we go. The power of story. You wouldn't know this, but this is the first definition in the Picture Dictionary of Life of perfect grandfather. That was my father-in-law for my sons, and he's in the back, second from the right. The power of story. So I'm gonna steal a few minutes of your time, and I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to just take you through kind of an asset inventory of what we have in the Genealogy Center. We would so much be honored to have you tell us how we can leverage that for you, your family members, your residents. So as Fort Wayne summers can be, they can be really hot, right? And humid. And so my third son was with Grandpa, my father-in-law, and it was really hot. And Grandpa took off his shirt, and maybe my son, first time he had saw it, and he saw this star on Grandpa's shoulder. "Eh, wow, what's that?" And Grandpa said, "Well, that's where I was wounded in World War II. You know, boys, guns, bombs, bullets, all awesome things, right?" So Brandon was like, "Ooh, this is pretty cool." And so a- as they took a break in the afternoon, Grandpa went up the attic, and got his helmet from World War II. Doesn't look exactly like that, but pretty close. There was a bullet hole clean through the helmet. And my son was like, looked at the helmet, looked at Grandpa's head, looked at the helmet, looked at Grandpa's head. And then Grandpa got to tell him the story. So he looked at a piece of Grandpa's life, and then he heard the story. And then later, Grandpa shared the document that was written home to great grandparents of my sons, saying that he was convalescing, he was pretty well, and the end result, a Purple Heart. My four sons, millennials, still to this day, Grandpa died in 1995. Still to this day, his memory, his presence is warm against their heart and is immediate to them. That's just one piece of the power of story. So my youngest, really brilliant. Well, of course, that's their father. They're all brilliant, but my youngest also brilliant. Does a lot of world traveling. He's a professor at the University of Texas. And when he goes overseas, one of his things that he likes to do, guess, and he guesses, unfair question, but one of the things he likes to do is visit the places where Grandpa's unit served during World War II. Why is that? I think it's because of the power of story. So we hear from brilliant individuals like Dr. Josh and others that the power of story changes young people's lives. The list of attributes for young people, as in like age a couple of days to whatever we decide we're not young anymore. I don't know. I'm always kind of foolish, so maybe I'm still young. I'll tell myself that anyway. Young people who know story, who know their own family story, are better able to handle change and diversity, are better able to handle tragedy, succeed better. Our class leaders, class presidents, sorority leaders, fraternity leaders, business entrepreneurs. It's amazing. And these aren't just things like, I think that's what will happen. It's no, this is what really happens. And they've done longitudinal studies that say story in people's lives is really powerful. Sometimes it boils down to, I am somebody. I'm worth something. I've been lived for, bled for, cried for, laughed for, died for. I am somebody. So we know that the power of story is evident in our lives, and if we leverage that. And so why we're here today is we're talking about kind of moving through to the other end of the life spectrum. How does story operate in the lives of those on the more mature side of life? I think that power is still there. I think people knowing their own story, and what Rick has been saying with his team, what Dr. Josh said earlier this morning, I think those are just more bodies of evidence that story is so powerful. My mother is in a care unit at St. Anne's, and she's fairly well along the dementia spectrum. She recognizes almost no one in our family except the sister who's closest to me in age, and that's spotty sometimes. But when we talk to her, when we show her, again, what Josh said, what Jonathan said, when we show her a picture, when we show her one particular picture, all five of us kids, and we go around the clock, we call it Chad, Curt, and Derek, Jane, Chad. And she's just like, having a bad day, having a good day, kind of a foggy day, really foggy day, not so foggy day. It's like, yeah, yeah, that's me. That's my kids. So even if you're not a doctor, researcher, you can see in a lot of loved ones and a lot of people that we care for, you can see how story and all the things that Josh said are really important. We see that power of story almost every day in the department, in the genealogy center. We have this little phrase that we like to make people cry. And we say it intentionally because we're like, what? Where does that fall in a positive customer service spectrum? And then we follow it up with happy tears. And that happens so often. Just telling you another couple quick stories. So like a twin, not an identical twin, but a twin, orphaned at age 3. So he and his sister went to St. Vincent's Orphanage, which is a local one here in Allen County, no longer exists, off of Wells Street. And I think on day 2 or 3 of going to the orphanage, they took the kids to a picnic way up by Show Park. And his younger sister fell in the river and drowned that day. They never told him. You don't tell kids about those terrible, horrible, tragic things. You keep it hidden. This guy was in his mid-60s, and he had been doing research. He wanted to find his sister his entire life. The story doesn't have that Mary Poppins, Walt Disney happy ending, but he did some research, went out to Lindenwood Cemetery, came in here. He could never find the obituary because a lot of obituary indexers from last century only did the obituary page, right? Well, this was drowning, so it was on the front page of the Metro section, never got indexed. But put the pieces together, and he came back, and he and his wife sat next door in a microtext room, and he cried. She kind of rubbed his shoulders, and then he smiled, but still crying. And he just said, all my life. All his life. He thought she was still alive. That's the result he wanted. Of course, that's the result he wanted. So, the power of story. We do help people, even when they find things that they're not expecting. They make all kinds of joyful discoveries. Even the painful discoveries will bring conclusion to them. So we've been doing story literally since this department pulled together in 1961. My team is really super wedded to story. That's why people do genealogy. It's not about the old records. It's not about the census. It's not about the photographs as artifacts. It's about all of them together tell story. And I hope you don't think this is too immodest. We're really good at it. We're really good at helping people find their stories. We kind of get geeked on it. We get some kind of energy about helping people find their stories. And we would really like to kind of be shoulder to shoulder with you here in this room, with you joining us virtually. We'd like to be shoulder to shoulder with you so that we could leverage our resources, how you believe they would serve your residents best. So just quickly, the Genealogy Center, these are really technical points before lunch. So I hope you can take care of all of that technical language here. We have a lot of stuff being technical. I mean, a lot of stuff. North of 1.2 million physical items in the collection. So we can help people find their stories. Use us. We want you to use us, all of us. And that's here in Allen County, Northeast Indiana, or again in Louisiana, Canada, Missouri, Alabama, where some people are joining us from today. Use us, and we'll see where some of those communication conduits can be. We can engage with you anywhere. That's one of the neat things about where we are in the 21st century. We can literally be anywhere, present to you on a screen, on a device, as long as you have an internet connection. I mean, we literally can do a program for people on the space station. If we could ever get those darn astronauts to like stop doing these experiments and think about their family story, we could do a program for that and would be happy to do so. We can help you build your networks. So if you're not, and I hope our virtual participants don't get upset with me, if you're not fortunate enough to be in Allen County, which is really an awesome county with awesome care facilities and fantastic library, if you're not fortunate enough to be in Allen County, we can help you find resources in your places, in your counties, no matter where they are in North America and beyond. And you can afford it. It's free. That's part of our mission. Again, we are so wedded to the power of story. It probably is, and I don't believe in magic. If there's one thing that's as close to magic as I will believe in, and again, I don't believe in magic, it's story. It's the power of knowing your story. So let's take a quick look about how we can engage there, right? So this is our website, and it's on a lot of the materials that you can Google. For the people that are in the room here, it's on the back of the Family History Month program. There's all kinds of ways of getting a hold of us. Again, not meaning to be too forward. If you can't get a hold of us, you're not trying very hard. My colleague Allison often says when someone's coming here to visit to do research, it's like, if you leave here without getting anything, without finding anything, you haven't asked us any questions. Like, come on, bring it. Ask us a question. So our website has all kinds of resources. I just want to highlight a few things that you could use for free, how you think they might fit. I'm only offering them as possibilities. So one can never record too many life stories, but we do have an initiative, and we try to engage as many times as we can where people say, yeah, I want to tell my life story. A little piece of it, a chapter of it, a section of it. And if they give us permission to post it online, we'll post it online. So we have several hundred life stories. Sometimes I've noticed firefighters like to listen to firefighters. Retired firefighters love to listen to retired firefighters. There are people who love to listen to successful people, not necessarily like uber popular or well known. So we have, just as an example, super achievers in Indiana. So we've had two governors that have done really amazing. So you want to listen to a governor. But these other people are like businessmen and women. And they may not be like on the news every night or ever on the news, but their stories can inspire. I think they can not inspire people to say, yeah, that's what I want to do, but inspire people to think about what I have done in my life that would be changing, impactful for others. The library also has over 100,000 digital assets accessible for free. So we've talked a lot about photographs today, and that's important. I'm glad we have. But if you need photographs as discussion starters, or you just need photographs of a time period, I just took a screenshot of the first part of our community album. And these are things from Fort Wayne, Allen County, Northeast Indiana. Those joining us virtually, go to your local public library or your state library. They too will have digital albums like this from which you can, as Jonathan did, maybe create some nice images and pictures to go talk with residents, your loved ones. It's a free asset. I think it can be something that's really, really powerful. The Genealogy Center does 2 virtual programs almost every week. And we've been doing those since about 5 years ago. It's a big commitment on our part. Why? Because we want to engage with people about all aspects of genealogy and family history. And you might say, meh, that's not why we're here today, Curt. We're not talking about genealogy and family history. You're right, we're not. We're talking about the power of story. So if you want to kind of up your game on the power of story, or just offering, and maybe this doesn't fit in many communities, if you need a program on what's going on in Canada research-wise, what about the newly released Canadian census? What about this? What about that? These programs are freely available, and you can broadcast them in your care facility. So you almost have a program in a package. If you decide it's the kind of program you want, if you decide that's what you would like to do. Complementing that, we have over 414 as of yesterday morning. It might have grown by one since then. Programs on YouTube that you can play. You can search through them for a particular topic. Again, if this fits into your programming activity posture, it is something that is freely available to you. And for our friends joining us from Canada, you will notice the third YouTube there on the screen, your ancestors at Library Archives Canada. So we have all these assets and they're wonderful. It's great to have hundreds of programs and 1.2 million items in our collection. Isn't that the most awesome thing in the world? Actually not. And sometimes I think my colleagues get aggravated with me, but thankfully Allison's in the back of the room and can't hurl things too far. All that means nothing. The collection means nothing. The programs mean nothing. The recordings mean nothing. Zero, zip, nada. What makes them meaningful? If they are serving our customers, if they are meeting a need. And so I would just really invite you to take a look at the various different aspects of story programming that we have on the Genealogy Center's page. And maybe they don't fit your need, but maybe they trigger something that you would like to see. Communicate with us, talk to us about that. We do it, as Jonathan indicated, we have for 4 years. I've been here at the library for a few days. I'm in my 46th year, all in the Genealogy Center. And when I was just in my first 2 years, we did programs at Lutheran-like villages. I think it wasn't called villages at the time, but there was a Lutheran minister there who loved genealogy. So come do a program for us, right? And so it's been off and on. We'd like more on than off, but that's up to you to tell us, like, yeah, we'd really prefer more of this kind of program or this kind of an engagement. We have been going out again into the community as people get more comfortable. And this is what I call ripped from the headlines. So from our colleague here from St. Anne's, Kate, which Jonathan showed a picture of her in his slide deck. Kate was out there yesterday doing a lineage lab program. She came back and she was just happy. And well, most times when we come back from programs, we're happy, but basically a lineage lab, and you all probably have a better term for that, would be more enticing and inviting. But she was kind of neat because she talked to a 97-year-old resident and a 101-year-old resident. And what did they talk about? Well, they viewed documents, took the computer and the hotspot out there, viewed documents, and told stories about those documents. Like, oh yeah, my life, what I did, who was important to me. We know that is true. We've interacted with not as many as we would like, but that's because of the cost factor. So maybe we can collectively figure that. We've interacted with care facilities several states away, where they will rent a bus, lease a bus for a day, and they'll do sort of a mystery tour. Start out in the middle, what looks like the middle of the night, but start out early in the morning, like dark early in the morning, and they'll go to 2 or 3 different places. And one, we were the third stop on their way back to the eastern edge of Missouri. They didn't know where they were going, each of those spots, but they were all kind of excited about it. There was about 40 of them, and they weren't very mobile. And they wanted a tour of the Genealogy Center. Well, how do you do that? Our center is 42,000 square feet. We plunked them down in the family history room. We just pulled family histories that matched their surnames. They had such a good time saying, well, that's not my family because this and this and this and this don't match. Then we plunked them down on the east side of the room and we pulled a lot of local history material because we kind of knew from the coordinator what towns they either lived in or were born in. And oh my goodness, we really had to kind of like help the activity director and coordinator push them back onto the bus because they didn't want to stop. Because a lot of the county histories, we have gajillions of them, pictures of the post office and the school in the corner, and they found themselves literally and figuratively. They found themselves in the pictures of the county histories, in the town histories, in the church histories. And then don't get me started on yearbooks. Oh my gosh, the people love yearbooks. And we have access to tens of thousands of yearbooks online and tens of thousands actually in physical form. It was amazing. And it was because they were finding themselves in history. And gentlemen love to sit around and talk about the good old days. And they usually use that term, the good old days, even sometimes when it takes a left turn into these were really hard days, these were really challenging days, but they were still the good old days. We are so honored and so blessed to have been partnering with Rick for a number of years now. We have not one, but 2 Vivid-Pix memory stations in the Genealogy Center. The aspiration and in gratitude for Rick's generosity, the second of those 2 can travel. It can go to a care facility and we can have a scanning day just as an event. Maybe it's a starter, maybe it's a standalone event, maybe it's part of a series of getting family and residents engaged in just pleasant memories and preserving. And as Josh said, the first hour, having a positive start to your day instead of, the alarm clock, pleasant picture. So we have that wonderful asset as well. Did I say immodestly and boastfully a little bit ago that we're really good at what we do? I may have mentioned that. I'll say it again. We're really good at what we do, but we need your guidance to tell us, to lead us, to articulate to us what you would like us to do. I have this map of the United States here, and why would I do that? Literally, wherever there is a care facility in the country, wherever there's a person in the country who needs some advice, counsel, ideas about what to do, it's a positive, uplifting, flipping the script from surviving our more mature years to thriving in our more mature years. We're here to help. We can connect you with local genealogical societies, historical societies, ethnic societies all over the world, certainly in North America. So take advantage of that. On our homepage, there is a form you can fill out. On this form, there's an email address. There's like 4 or 5 different places on our website where you can stumble upon how to get a message to us. I just so much invite you to do that because I think it really is powerful, really powerful in the lives of those that we care for and those that we love. Even though my mother is pretty well gone, my opinion, not St. Anne's opinion, that I just have to tell you, I couldn't do what y'all do. I just couldn't. I'm a type A German with a thimble full of patience, which is empty most of the time. So hats off to all of you. But I think the Genealogy Center can really come shoulder to shoulder with you, with your guidance, your ideas, your requests for assistance that you believe would work best for your family members or your residents. So when I close with this slide, let's do story together. Story is really powerful. It changes people's lives. So if you have any questions for Jonathan, who gave a great presentation, or me, be happy to answer any of them in the room. And Allison, if you could tell us if there's any online.
That's who you are.
Who I am?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You haven't seen the post office posters? Just get on your post office. No, I'm Curt Witcher. I manage the Genealogy Center and am Director of Special Collections here at the library. And again, I've been here a few days, give or take. Questions?
I have a question,
Rick?
and please repeat it. So responding to reminiscence kits, I'm seeing more and more about the gardening and the creativity that's very similar actually to the photographic side as well. How are you engaging the gardening and the ongoing activities in communities?
So, Jonathan, if you don't mind coming up, I'll repeat the question while Jonathan's making his way up here. Rick asked, he sees more and more of these kits on gardening and wanted to know how Jonathan and his team are engaging with that and where they see that going.
Hey, thanks, Rick. So these are fairly new kits that we're taking them out to folks in activities and enrichment departments, and we're kind of letting them run with it. We like to hear when they come back what they've done exactly, what worked, what didn't work. We don't hear a lot of specifics yet. So, you know, we put everything in there that we think someone could possibly use to kind of reminisce with and spark that creativity and that connection. As of yet, we don't have much to judge. Yes, please.
So what really sparked for me, and the reason I asked the question, we work with the Southern Gerontological Society. And it's always fun having to go back and forth between gerontological and genealogical. So the Southern Gerontological Society is the southern 14 states in DC. And we were at a conference in Birmingham, Alabama, in April. And there was a project that was actually tying together gardening and photos. So let me work to pull that for all of us from that work that the university was doing with a senior living facility, so that we all do learn together. And just play off that for one moment. For those of you who don't know how powerful your libraries are and how these connections can occur, we're currently working with Dallas Public Library as an example, and the Southern Gerontological Society is having their conference in April there. We're actually pulling together the whole 6th floor of their 8th floor building in downtown Dallas in order to have community outreach. So you've got all these wonderful university professors and doctors coming together at that library to tie together the aging community and the library resources. So collaboration is really, really cool here. So thank you. Let me see if I can help.
Thank you, Rick and Jonathan. Any other questions? Yes.
I'd just like to comment on the gardening. I'm out at Georgetown, and they have a little program where they have little cups where they put some of the seeds. And Steve, the head of the Georgetown, brought it out to one of our meetings, and the seedlings are already this big, and passed them out to all the residents. So, and I'm eating those tomatoes right now.
Awesome. One of our
It really works.
excellent. Just for those who are joining us virtually, if you didn't hear, one of our in-person attendees here in Fort Wayne just communicated a wonderful story about libraries and seedlings and passing those out and people nurturing them, and now the fruits of those are nourishing individuals.